Today on FSI, we are breaking down the Tennessee Titans and the Baltimore Ravens from a betting perspective. Now, we're currently 31-11 on our official moves on Twitter, so make sure you're following that account. I'm your host, Tom Cross, and to my right is our analytics expert, Stephen Fu.
Thanks for tuning in this week. The Ravens are on the road as a 3.5 point favorite. They're minus 180 on the money line, and the Titans, they're plus 150.
On the Ravens and Titans spread, I'm actually shocked. I thought this game would at least be a pick'em, but having the Ravens at minus 3.5, the book is anticipating the hype that the public has for the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. They've been playing great over the last month, so I am shocked by the spread. Do I think they got it right? I'm not so sure.
This will be a rematch of the 2020 divisional playoff game. The Titans had a blowout win against them. They led by as much as 22 points. And what made it even more impressive is they were a 10-point underdog. The book is definitely giving them a lot more respect this year as only a 3.5 point underdog.
Quarterback Lamar Jackson has been looking great over the last 5 weeks, but he has not played any tough defenses. Now, he's still running the ball effectively, obviously, because he is one of the quickest and fastest quarterbacks in the league. His throwing has always been good, but he has the lack of weapons around him with no number 2 wide receiver and barely a number 1 receiver playing that role. Now, he played Tennessee a couple of times and hasn't had much success, so maybe the third time will be the charm. But Tennessee, I do know they have a Detroit Lions type defense. It's one of the worst in the league.
Ryan Tannehill has had a tremendous season. He had 33 passing touchdowns, which ranked him 6th best in the league. He did lead the Titans to a respectable 11-5 record and also captured that division title for them. And he has definitely transformed into a way better quarterback since he departed from Miami.
The Ravens' offensive line has gotten better. Now, at the beginning of the season, they were one of the worst in the league, allowing Lamar Jackson to be pressured or sacked 35% of the time. Lucky for them, they're facing one of the worst pass rushes in the league. They get absolutely no pressure. They have no stars up front, and these guys are just garbage. So advantage here for the Ravens on the offensive line.
The Tennessee Titans offensive line has improved a lot since the previous season. They only allowed 25 sacks and 485 pass attempts. Now, this Baltimore Ravens pass rush is not that good. They're actually below average. So I think the Titans should have plenty of time to pass today.
The Baltimore Raven wide receivers are one of the worst in the league. Hollywood Brown is a number 2 receiver, and he's forced to play the number 1 role. Now, they do have a very good tight end, but at the end of the day, the Tennessee Titans secondary is average to above average, so there is actually going to be an advantage here for Tennessee in the secondary level.
The Tennessee Titans have a lot of weapons at the receiver position. A.J. Brown is leading a team with 1,075 receiving yards, and he's also leading them with 11 touchdowns as well. And although Corey Davis didn't crack the 1,000-yard mark, he is very reliable still with the 65 receptions. The Baltimore Ravens is the 2nd best pass defense, so they're probably not going to get too much separation there.
The Baltimore Ravens running attack is one of the best in the league. J.K. Dobbins is looking great, and obviously Lamar Jackson runs the ball very effectively. Now, when we look at Tennessee's run defense, they really don't have much talent at the linebacker position or up front, so I expect Baltimore to have success in this area.
Derrick Henry has led the league in rushing for 2 consecutive years now. He's basically unstoppable on the ground. He had 2,000 yards this season. And up against his Baltimore run defense, which ranked 6th worst in the league, I think he should have no problem running the ball.
I actually like the Baltimore Ravens in this matchup, and the reason why is the secondary. They have an elite secondary, and the Tennessee Titans aren't elite at anything on defense at all. Now, when you look at the Tennessee Titans offensive line, it's not very good, obviously, in pass blocking. So I do like the way that Baltimore may be able to get a little bit of pressure on Tannehill, and he might make a mistake. But at the end of the day, I don't think there's a way that Tennessee will stop Baltimore. Tennessee's going to have to score 35 points, and against that secondary, I don't think that's possible. I feel like this is going to be a game where you're going to see about 35 to 40 put up by the Ravens and about 20 to 28 put up by the Tennessee Titans.
Ravens were a Super Bowl favorite at the end of last year, but at the end of this year, they didn't even know if they had a playoff spot until week 17. Now, the Ravens defense has been pretty consistent throughout the year, but the same could not be said for their offense. And with Lamar Jackson, his main way of moving the offense is on the ground. He can't really pass that well, so I think I have to go with the Titans here because they can run or pass the ball. And if they're getting 3.5 points at home, I think that's a safe wager to take.
Now remember, we can't predict injuries, PEDs, or COVID, or the weather. So make sure you follow our Twitter for our official moves. A lot of these plays are coming down to the last hour and a half before the game so I can get the inactive and active report. That does it for us. Do me a favor, smash the like button and subscribe. Tell us who you can be taking in the comments below.
We don't care about favorite teams here. Our focus is on making you money. Follow our social media on Twitter, Instagram, or our webpage. The links are below.